All right, everyone, the salt is flowing because all the TDS-suffering liberals that were piling aboard with Nikki Haley in New Hampshire, in the end, they failed drastically. Donald Trump is about 11 points ahead right now in the final tally. You still have a few counties that haven't reported in. Most of those are Trump territory, so I expect it'll be about 12 points in the end. Nikki Haley going batshit, we'll be talking about that later. She's vowing to continue the fight, as she calls it. The race isn't over. I can still girl boss my way through this. Yeah, I'm 35 points behind in my own home state, but somehow I expect to win there. The salt is mainly, though, coming not from Nikki Haley fans, so much as anti-fans of Donald Trump, because they expected the possibility that Nikki Haley was she's going to get that last-minute surge, she's going to win in New Hampshire and humiliate Orange Man. She's going to spank him girl boss style. And that just didn't actually happen. Ron DeSantis, by the way, got a few thousand votes. Yeah, so for what that's worth, which is literally nothing. By the way, turnout in New Hampshire a lot higher than it was in Iowa, and that was partially weather-related. She's still going. We're going to wait till this is good for me because then I can live stream for Nevada and South Carolina, and that'll be it'll be more fun than a barrel of monkeys, trust me. The New Hampshire win for Trump really just has the effect of solidifying what we already knew, which is that Donald Trump will be the Republican nominee. There's no competitor anymore. Nikki Haley now has flubbed it in a state where she spent over $70 million and months of time and got the gubernatorial endorsement. If that's not going to carry you to victory, despite having reasonable name recognition and the backing of the Koch brothers, you've lost. She did not get the memo. Again, we'll discuss that in more detail later. Trump now is the nominee for the Republican Party. Haley's only staying in for the vague possibility that he dies or is incapacitated or is forced aside in a brokered convention. That's the only reason why she would remain in. Trump has won. Just to be clear, he is the nominee. As of today, he's been nominated. There's no longer anywhere else where anyone else has enough support to build up enough momentum to challenge him. And there's literally only one other person in the race, and she's batshit. The salt, though, is the most interesting part, because it's mainly coming from liberals. It's not mainly coming from conservatives that simply dislike Trump. It's coming from people like Joy Reid, who expected the possibility of Nikki Haley dethroning Trump, finally owning him, smacking him on the face and spanking him, and he's a big pouty poopy baby, and all this other weird hyperbolic fantasy bullshit that I talked about in Orange Man Big. By the way, available, Amazon.com, both the volumes. I thought that was funny. I don't know if there was a Nikki entry, actually. Should probably write volume 3. That's where the salt's coming from. Like, I see there are a handful of DeSantis superfans that are pissed off. But it's a tiny minority of DeSantis fans. It's basically Bill Mitchell, Max Nordau, Dave Reboy, and a couple of other people. It's the influencer crowd who were, they were grifting effectively off the DeSantis train wreck of a candidacy. But with Nikki Haley, it's more Democrats. You got to understand, looking at her numbers here, she picked up approximately 4 points ahead of polling, specifically because she was going to voters that hadn't chosen a party. They're unaffiliated voters, and going to them and saying, look, vote for me to stop Orange Man. That was since October, that was the strategy. Before that, it was get the Democrats to drop their Dem registration, take up a GOP registration, and some thousands of people did that. That appears not to have really moved the metric. I have a feeling some of those people voted for Trump because they're under the delusion that he'll be easier to beat. They think that Haley's the one to beat. I would disagree with you. I don't know what a great strategy that is for the liberals, but they're convinced. You look at Michigan polling and polling in places like Wisconsin and even Virginia to an extent. I think you're going to have some goddamn problems in the 24 general election. I think that Trump can win with an ankle monitor on, actually, to tell the truth. He's going to run the field. It's as plain as day. He's already been nominated. I called this months ago. I called Iowa, said that I hoped that Ron DeSantis would edge out Haley. He did. That blunted her momentum enough so that she came in below expectations in New Hampshire. She probably would have been at least in the mid-40s had it not been for that. Had she taken second place in Iowa, the electability argument would be a thing. That's now off the table. You've lost 2 states in a row. There are no other states in which you're competitive. In general election polling, in general polling for the GOP contest at large, Trump is now soaring up into the 70s. I expect that his win in New Hampshire will propel him further. I'd be surprised if before South Carolina, Trump doesn't hit 75% in the polling aggregate for the election at large. I would be surprised if he doesn't continue to trounce Joe Biden in the polls. That'll narrow a little bit before Election Day, which is still a long ways off. Of course, right now I'm looking outside, it's fucking snowing, and it looks like Skyrim actually more than anything else. New Hampshire, though, if you just win Iowa and then you lose New Hampshire, there's a chance that you lose. Statistically speaking, though, in how many cases has a candidate won both Iowa and New Hampshire, both by double digits, by the way, and then gone on to lose the nomination? I don't think there's actually an example from either party of that happening. Trump is now going to go into Nevada, where you've got both a primary that's unsanctioned and a caucus that is. He's going to win that. I expect that none of the above is probably going to win the unsanctioned primary. Haley is on there, by the way, along with Mike Pence and a few other people. I expect none of the above to actually take the primary. In the caucus, I suspect Trump will win by 30, 40 points. That's not even really being contested, by the way. Nobody's even bothering to campaign in Nevada because of how retarded their system is. Again, unsanctioned primary, sanctioned caucus. People are like, what the fuck is going on here? The writing is on the wall in Nevada. So he wins those delegates. Going forward into South Carolina, he's going to win there as well. It's all over. The race is over. There are simply people who have not gotten the memo. There are eternal optimist liberals out there that still think that Donald Trump can be stopped. Well, he can't be. There's no longer a race in which he's even feasibly close to being within challenging range. It doesn't exist. Have you seen the polling from South Carolina and Nevada? You know, what little of it exists. Thankfully, we'll get more over the coming weeks. Have you seen the national polling for the GOP primaries? Trump's out ahead by more than 50 points in that matchup. Where is he supposed to be challenged? These people are delusional. The only person more delusional than some of the TDS-suffering liberals right now is goddamn Nikki Haley. Again, we'll have to have a whole separate video just about her delusional batshit. Donald Trump has won. He's the Republican nominee. There are some TDS-suffering Republicans, neocons mainly, that don't like that. But they're eclipsed at the moment when I look at the results. When I search through the internet and I look at Trump or Haley or something like that, and I look for people's commentary on it, especially on Twitter, a lot of the people that are most pissed about this are Democrats. They're people who wanted Haley to win to humiliate Donald Trump. And they didn't get their way. And what do liberals tend to do when they don't get their way? They shriek and they do the primal scream therapy thing, and they rend their pink hats and toss a sackcloth onto them and wallow around in ashes like it's some sort of biblical play or something like that. These people are not playing with a full deck. Their salt is funny, but it's also, in the end, it's a little bit mildly concerning because keep in mind these people actually, unfortunately, can vote. That's about all. Peace out.